Is May 1st, and this is a recap of all of the things that have happened in the world of automation, at least the things that we've been keeping track of this last week. Before we do that, how you doing, Jade? Nice to see you.
I love Fridays. It's great.
You love Fridays. The last couple of Fridays have had just these naturally emerging themes. This week is no different. It seems that this week is the week of price change announcements, and the glamorous, right?
Fun.
And the truth of them is that they don't seem like, none of them are upsetting. And they actually seem to be relatively well communicated, which is, I think, probably the best thing we can say about price increases. Of course, customers across any product or platform would be and should be annoyed by them. And I'm sure there is kind of this principle of, well, if I'm already a customer, why wouldn't you just keep it the same? But if prices are going to change, I think the number one thing you can ask for is good communication about in what way they're changing, how the platform providers are justifying the changes in their own minds, and then just clear expectations of when those transitions happen as well. So yeah, that's my take. That's my opinion on price changes. Should we talk about a couple of examples, maybe?
Yeah. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
I saw an announcement that Thryv is changing the price of Marketing Center, and the justification they're using for that is the additional costs and capabilities related to AI. Because of AI content generation and AI image generation that is now being built into that platform, those are the features that are saying we're adding this additional value. And I think it's moving prices around $6 a month for the people who are impacted by this change. So if you're paying $258, I think it's going to $264, or whatever your particular price is that you have on Marketing Center. There's a chance that you might be seeing a couple of dollars added to the monthly bill. And the communication they sent out seemed fine and transparent to me on that. What's your take, Jade? Do you think that when changes are $4, $5, $6, they can get away with them? Or do you think that people are going to give them shit for that?
I think, especially in this particular situation, as long as there's improvements that go along with it, that's great. Which is, compare it to something like Netflix, for example, right? Like, we all love to stream our TV shows, and when like every 2 months they're like, it's another $5 because we're not making enough profit, we're like, that sounds fake, but okay.
Yeah, this one didn't bother me, especially when it wasn't drastic. I know that a couple of years ago, some of these platforms were getting in trouble or not making people happy because they were putting 20% price increases and things like that on people. The other one that I saw that made me start to realize that it was a trend this week was from HighLevel. HighLevel runs on an extremely different pricing model in that you essentially pay per use, whether you're the agency owner bundling those in for people, or if you're a customer who has bought your accounts from HighLevel directly, you actually pay fractions of pennies per uses of things, which is, if you hate uncertainty, you might hate that pricing model where, it costs 60 cents for 1,000 messages, whatever those models are. But if you're running a wholesale business or a really large scale business, paying the actual costs of those things might be really appealing to you. And I saw a change related to AI voice. So a lot of people inside of the HighLevel user base are starting to use AI voice conversations where you're either having real live phone calls and those phone calls are being analyzed using AI, or AI is actually answering the call. And the price is moving from, I think, somewhere around 6 cents a minute to 8 cents a minute. But there are a few different major AI companies that HighLevel is partnered up with and makes available inside of the platform. And the default one, I might be paraphrasing this wrong, but this is my understanding. If you're a HighLevel AI engineer, you can comment and tell me if I'm getting this right. They've introduced a more capable model. And now that more capable model is becoming the default. And that more capable model costs a couple cents more. What's interesting, though, is that they're providing the option to continue using the old model. So if you're using the 6-cent model right now and you do nothing, or you start using the product in the future, you're going to be on the 8-cent model. But if you say, hey, that old thing is trained just fine, and I'm happy with the quality of the conversations that model is providing, you can actually opt to not experience that change to the new model. So I think if you're just the average consumer, you might not want that decision on your back. But if you're an agency owner who's leaning really hard into AI and has a lot of expertise, you might be able to do that cost benefit analysis on that couple cent change by yourself.
But like, compare your description of this versus the price increase in Marketing Center and Thryv. They're both AI related, right? But when Thryv says, hey, this is going to cost more because we're providing more. Cool. But the way you described that included a lot less detail, because when you're giving people the opportunity to opt out, that kind of forces the organization owner to be infinitely more transparent about what costs what and why, because we have to be more educated to make it kind of, as you described, it's a little bit of a stressful situation. You work hard to set up these AI workflows, and then you change is hard, you know.
I think we could probably find some product leaders from both of those companies to unpack the psychology of that, because I actually see why people would like and dislike both models. So I think it's kind of like different models for different people. And of course, if you're a business owner, like an agency owner running a white label of HighLevel, especially if you are creating that bundle, right? Your customer might not be paying the difference between this number of pennies and that number of pennies. You might be providing the AI as a bundled service.
I want to point out that what's really fun about having conversations like this and kind of like representing Monkeypod and sharing news with everybody is that Monkeypod is inherently a very diverse and eclectic membership. So we're not verticalized. We're not selling stuff that's like crazy to like one audience. We serve to bring news and bring togetherness and in a very special, very particular model of community and togetherness. So the people whom we're bringing together, it's not going to help each other if they don't bring different perspectives and their different industries and their different tools and their different everything. So we bring together different people because the diversity is what makes us stronger. Like the hearing can be like, well, there's this and this and this, because we act as a sounding board to all these different what if, versus us having a lens on for a particular use case. So it's kind of cool. And
let's keep going with news. A couple of more things to watch for and play with this week. This one might be interesting to you because I know we've been having some conversations about the HighLevel platform, and specifically the communities section inside of HighLevel, that there are many ways to sell or unlock access to a community or a course, right? Mm-hmm. Some of them provide more design control or more automation flexibility. Some are quicker and easier to set up. Some show up natively inside of the application. They're just different, and there are too many ways. So one of the things announced this week was that there have been enhancements to commerce directly inside of communities. Have you come up against any of that yet, or is that something we need to figure out and play with next week?
We got to play with it.
You got to play with it. Because there are a bunch of ways that are all mostly good until they don't do the thing you want them to do, right? So this update that was just announced to commerce and communities helps to solve those problems. So we'll take that one offline and maybe create some content after we actually get to kick the tires of it a little bit. And then the last kind of product-related update that I found interesting this week is something that Keap, or Thryv Keap, but on the Keap side of that brand, seems to be excited for right now, is something called the Partner Hub. And there's going to be somebody who watches this who's like a 10 or 15-year Keap partner who's going to say, that's not a new thing. That's a 10-year-old thing that went away 7 years ago or something. But what Partner Hub is actually a dashboard. So insider information, partners have always been able to get an edition of Keap that allows us to switch between various accounts that we're authorized to be inside of. So you might have your production account for your business, you might have some sandboxes, and then you might have a dozen different client accounts that you're able to switch in and out of. So there's always been an interface for seeing the list of all the different app IDs that you have access to and switching in and out of them. This new feature that Keap seems to be excited about right now is that they're actually going to surface more information onto that app switching interface that includes things like the billing status or plan information of that particular customer's account, or things like the automation performance, right? How many automations are active? Are there errors inside of those automations? Is there traffic moving through those automations? And if you're in the business of running people's apps for them, that macro view could be really helpful. If you're in the business of making money by signing people up, seeing that revenue information can be really helpful. And also the activities could be helpful if you care about reducing churn, right? So if you've got customers who have activities inside of their Keap account, and then you get to see in one central place which of your accounts are declining in their activity, it might help you to know if people are still getting value from the tools or the automations that you built for them. I haven't been able to touch this feature yet, but I've seen some videos about it and know that some of the Keap product people are excited for it. I think it's pretty cool if they can bring that kind of macro dashboard level view.
I think what's really cool is it adds a layer of, when you're in a singular app, you're a business owner, this is the CRM that's running my business, visibility and not just reporting, but intelligent reporting and visibility and transparency of what's actually happening is a big deal. And it's something that is being worked on inside of the apps, but also as the grandparent level view of like, okay, I'm in charge of all of these apps and I don't want to have to click into every single one to see what's going on. It's exhausting. So any sort of visibility, this isn't the same thing as super, super intelligent dashboarding, but it's a huge step in the right direction. I think it's indicative of some listening to some feedback, partners and people on multiple accounts saying, I just want to see what's going on.
For our last little bit here, I want to talk about AI. Way back at the beginning, we talked about how the 2 examples of price changes this week were attributed to AI costs. So let's talk about the upside of AI. You got to build some workflows. I mean, every workflow builder seems to have AI right now. Zapier's got their AI, Airtable, they've all got some kind of AI built into their workflow builders right now. But you built an automation using the HighLevel workflow AI in this last week or 2. How has that gone?
I actually used it several times. And here's a really interesting thing. It fills a particular step that I think not a lot of people put a lot of thought into, or at least or should I take this step? I'm not saying they're not putting a lot of thought into when they do it. It's just a step that not everybody does. So when you're a certified partner in any particular app or company or CRM, those kinds of things, you are being paid for your expertise in building cool things in said apps, right? Well, something that a lot of us partners do is instead of just jumping in and I have to build something, there's a different kind of thought process where I call it, I like to skeleton out the app and think through the logical functionality. I'm not just dropping in a sequence, filling in an email and doing that on repeat. I sort of lay the land out first. It's the blueprint to the automation. And awesome if you're doing that. If not, try it. And if you are ready to try it or already doing it, here's a really cool tool you can use. I purely have been using this workflow AI builder it does the skeletoning. That's a verb now? It does this skeleton design for me. So I type in, I want it to do this, but I need it to branch out if they go here, and I just sort of talk to it and it just goes, psh. And is it perfect? Absolutely not. Does it fill in all of the emails and just completely do my job for me? Absolutely not. But it saves me that 5 minutes of thinking through, trying to remember the name of the widget on the side and what does it look like and what is it called again? Because in this app, it's called that, in Keap decision diamonds pop up. In HighLevel, you need to add a conditional if else, there's so many different terms and it's so easy to be what color is it? Where does it go? So I can skip that pulling out the puzzle pieces part and I can go right to making things look and feel amazing.
Last thing I want to talk about today is security and phishing. This is your reminder to pay attention to the emails that you get. We all put so much information into our CRMs, whether it's each individual contact row, the billing information for people inside of that business's CRM, even a health organization with even more kind of important data, or if you're an agency where you can do that switching between various apps that you're authorized to. Security is stressful and it's important. And we seem to have, every year, we have this seasonal effect of phishing attempts at people who have CRM systems, probably because attackers know that the stuff we keep in there is plentiful and important and can be exploited in a variety of ways. So there's one going around right now that's saying something to the effect of your automation is experiencing an elevated number of errors. So click here to see what is failing in your automation. So good and bad. We are in a period of time where these attackers are using AI as well. So the color matching is perfect. The logo, pixel perfect. The grammar, better than ever before. The plausible story, we're not talking about being left $1 billion from our aunt's trust. I do use Keap and I do use automation. So maybe there are errors. All of that stuff is getting much, much better. But the version that I got, on the other hand, didn't have my name. It didn't have an app ID merged into it, right? It didn't say which app. It didn't say an automation ID, right? If Keap was really sending this, they would know my app ID. It would maybe even know the funnel ID of where this problem is coming from. I hovered over the login button. I looked at the sender information in the header and just needed to be more attentive than before. So what would I do if I hadn't already decided that this was to write this one off? I would have logged into my application and looked for a banner or an error message inside of the application directly. I would have maybe started a chat with Keap to say, is this real? But I definitely wouldn't click on a login button inside of an email. Be careful out there, everybody.
Yep. It's just a cautionary tale. No advice.
And no, I had a message from HubSpot. So, lots of us are in lots of different platforms. I had an email from HubSpot and it was asking me to verify my two-factor backup codes. So it's cutting straight to the heart of a security issue. HubSpot's real address in the footer. And it was real. They really did want me to do that, but I still didn't click on the link. I logged into my HubSpot account and I looked for an alert inside of my notifications in there. But that's it. Have a good weekend.
Happy Friday. Bye.
See you, Jade. Happy Friday.